There's a saying in my house when I grew up. It said this, they that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings as eagles. They shall run and not be weary. They shall walk and not faint. Never realizing that sometimes later in my adult life I would really need that verse. Many of you have probably heard about an Ironman triathlon. Those who have heard about an Ironman. You may not understand the distance. An Ironman triathlon, it starts out with a 4-kilometer swim. Then it goes into a 180-kilometer bike ride. And then a full marathon of 42.2 kilometers. You have from 7 in the morning till midnight to finish it to be called an Ironman. And the average person takes 12 to 15 hours to complete one. So why would I want to do 3 of these in 3 consecutive days? 678 kilometers, swimming almost 12 kilometers, taking 11,000 swimming strokes. Move into a 540-kilometer of riding a bicycle, taking 160,000 bike strokes, pedal strokes as I was going through the Rocky Mountains, a nice flat course. And then move into 126.6 kilometers of running, taking over 160,000 running steps. Well, in Haiti, it's basically an Ironman every day for these people just to survive. It is the poorest country in the Western Hemisphere. 80% of the population live on less than $2 a day. They have little opportunity and little hope in Haiti. So what I want to encourage you today is to do something for someone, be it your family, your neighbor, a friend, a charity in Hamilton, or a charity elsewhere. But reach out and do something. Use your talent to do something and make a difference in this world. I'll start off with my talent. Basically, I didn't think I had one. My only talent was I love to exercise, I love to run, I love to compete. There's nothing like being at about the 35-kilometer point in a marathon. Every point of your body says to stop. You can hardly move, and yet you go on, and you push yourself to the limit, push yourself further than you thought you could. So just after that, I started running at about age 40, and then my wife and I decided to open a little running store in Hamilton and train people to run and train people to do marathons. And we found that was such a rewarding thing to be able to train people. And I had this gentleman come to me at 68 years old. He just finished a fight with cancer, and he wanted to complete a marathon. To myself, I'm thinking, you're a little over the top there. His name was Howard. But he says, no, I want to do it. Not only want to finish a marathon, I want to compete in Boston Marathon. I says, okay. So I started training this fella, and we went to the Ottawa Marathon, and on the bus ride up there, we were taking a bus, we got to sing happy birthday to him. It was his 70th birthday. And during that run, I met him at the 10K mark to go. There was at the about 32K mark. He had 10 kilometers left to go. I'm looking at my watch and go, you're right on schedule, Howard. Come on, we can do it, buddy. And I'm running with him, encouraging him. And I go, how hard do you push a 7-year-old? But I go, he's this close. It's his dream. We got to do it. And we finally make it coming down the last 100 meters as he's got tears coming down his face. I go, Howard, you've done it. You've done it. And he went on to finish that, qualified for Boston, ran Boston the next year. So that was an amazing event. Fast forward about 10 years, I'm now at Ironman, Wisconsin, doing an Ironman. And I completed the Ironman and vowed to myself I will never do another one. It's just too hard. I couldn't eat for 5 hours after that. I couldn't hardly walk for a couple days. It's just too hard. So that was it. But 2 months later, we're in Ironman, Arizona. I wasn't doing it. My wife was. And we met a fellow down there. I met a fellow down there. His name was Rudy Garcia. He was attempting to be the first double amputee above the knee to complete a triathlon, an Ironman. So his legs were just below his hips, were cut off. So can you imagine biking 180 kilometers with no quads, no hamstrings? And he had just failed an attempt to do an Ironman about a month before this event. And to watch him come in at 16 hours and 36 minutes to the cheer of this crowd, I go, here I am with a healthy body, you know, what's not possible? So he really encouraged me that day. And little did I know how I would need that encouragement. We went home after that event, and about 2 weeks later, we're sitting down with a friend of ours, his name was Art, who did a lot of work in Haiti. And he was wanting to bring microcredit to Haiti. Now, you may have heard of microcredits where they give small loans and train people how to run a business, loan them small amounts of money so they can then go out and start their own job, feed their family, and provide them and send them to school. So I thought, why not do 3 Ironman in 3 days, raise $250,000? As quickly as I thought of that, I quickly shoved it away. That is crazy. That's just crazy. But it wouldn't go away. That thought wouldn't go away, so I kept thinking about it. I got online and read about microcredit. 98% of these loans worldwide are paid back. If I could actually raise this money, it could make a huge difference to the people in Haiti. So I finally came up with this, decided, okay, I'm going to do this, let's proceed. I started a website, I started a little promotional video about it. Now the hardest thing for me was, I thought maybe I might be able to do this, and maybe I won't. But the hardest thing for me, I thought, what if I go out there and I don't raise any money, or nobody buys into this, or I'm a complete failure? So many of the things we've heard about talking today about getting out there and doing stuff, I was kind of putting into practice. But I decided to go ahead with it. I told my wife, and if you know my wife, some of you may, she's high energy. As soon as I mentioned it, she was all on board, gung-ho. So one of the things I thought, when you do this type of event, or you're doing something bigger than yourself, you really need a good team about you. Not only to help me through this months and months of training, and on those 2 weekends those 2 days when I'd be doing this by myself, I would need help with my bike, food, and whatnot. Plus, it would also be a good test to find out if anybody actually thought I was, totally crazy for doing this. So I went around and thought of who I should have on my team, and I asked 10 people that are friends of mine, and the amazing part was each one I asked, as soon as I asked them, they said, we're on board. We're going to be there to support you. And to have that support and that help with me was just an amazing. It really encouraged me throughout the months of training. So I began training for this event. I started off with about 8-10 hours of training a week, got up to like 25, 35, about 40 hours of training a week. Many, many long bike rides and whatnot. But I learned to enjoy each ride, just be thankful that I have the health and have the strength to do this and go out there and to be able to do this training. And the money started coming in, and it came in, and by the time I got to race day down in Penticton, BC, where the event was, I was up over the $200,000 mark. So I got to Penticton. On that first day, when I arrived in Penticton, it was 32 degrees Celsius. If it stays 32 degrees Celsius, I will melt like a little prune and shrivel up, and they'll just blow me away somewhere. But fortunately, it cooled down a little bit. And so the first day started off we went at 6 o'clock in the morning. I got to the beach to start the swim, and there was like 60 people there. I'm going, wow, where'd they all come from? And it was friends and people that I knew that were out there to do the event, and also many people that I had no idea who they were, but heard about this event, and they were just there to provide their support for me that day. So that's pretty cool. That's pretty neat that they're there to help me out. So I went through the first day, got through the swim okay, the bike ride, we're out there biking, and I was about 12 hours into that day. I don't really have a coffee breaks. You don't sit down and have a nice lunch for a little while. And I just said to one of my friends who was running with me, I go, this is a long day. We're out here for 12 hours. This is a long day. I've still got a couple more hours to run, somehow find some sleep, and then do this again. We got back that night after about 14 hours, and I thought, you couldn't really eat. I tried to eat, so some of the problems we thought might arise started to arise. I got about half my food down that night, had to get to bed, and the next morning I'm up at about 4 o'clock in the morning trying to get some warm porridge into me and a few other things. And that night a cold front blew through. So we got there in the morning, it's 8 degrees Celsius, and the water wasn't much warmer. And I got through that swim. By the time I got through the swim, they handed me a coffee, and I couldn't even hold it. I was just shaking like this. And it was a really cold, windy day. It was kind of the start of a cold front, so the wind's just howling through this valley in Penticton. And get out on the bike ride, and after about the first 60K, we had the wind behind us, so that was kind of cool. But then we turned this corner, and you start climbing through the mountains, and it was basically all back into the wind that day. And it just took a lot of energy out of me that day. And it was just the second day was an extremely long, hard day. And we were also trying to follow all the rules in an Ironman, because you have to be done you swim in a certain time, you have to be done the bike in a certain time, and then you have to be done the run in a certain time. So that day, I just basically made the cutoff for the bike by about 5 minutes. I remember just being exhausted, and just thinking, I got to go find somewhere to nap, but unfortunately, I had to go back to the house, get changed, and get on the course and start running 42.2 kilometers. And that wasn't easy. So that night came, and finally, it was about midnight that night when I finally got into bed, and about 2 in the morning, I woke up like a start. I don't know what it was. I just couldn't sleep, and here I was trying to prepare for another 15-hour day. I could not, at this point, think. I was basically comatose. I was hoping that something would happen, but the interesting part then was I turned on the TV. My wife turned on the TV. She says, what are you doing? I go, I don't know. So we turned on the TV to kind of see what the weather was going to be like that day, and there was this guy on the TV, Charles Stanley, and the first words out of his mouth, they that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. And then he talked about eagle's wings, how it can help you and whatnot. And then he said, go out and test it. My wife said, that's for you. I go, okay. I don't get it yet. I'm too tired. I can't think. So my wife left to get me a coffee. The coffee machine wasn't, our room wasn't going. And she left, and I kind of picked up my bags and left. I was supposed to wait for her to have the coffee because she went and got a coffee for me. But I was just so delirious that morning and so tired and so down that I couldn't even think straight. And so I'm now in this area with these 3,000 athletes trying to get my thoughts and stuff together to be able to finish this last Ironman on the third day with these 3,000 people who were there just ready to do one. So we get in there that morning, and finally we went out onto the beach, and I finally saw my wife and my teammates there, and they kind of waved. I says, I think I'm okay. I think. It's all relative at this point. Anyways, I got on the swim, got through the swim okay. And then as I got in the swim and got into transition and changed to go out on the bike ride, I looked at my bike, and I looked down and go, I just can't do this. I just don't know how to. I wanted to lay down in the fetal position and just stay there till I had about 20 hours sleep, I guess, whatever it was. I just was not thinking straight. But I looked at that, looked at this, the bike, and says, okay, let's just go. One foot in front of the other. So I walked out, and you go through the transition, or you go down to the road, and they have a sign there that says mount. And again, that verse came back to me. That wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings as eagles. Now, I'm not here to preach to you or anything today, but I do believe in the Lord, believe in a God. And as I turned that corner, I saw myself crossing the finish line, and I just felt these wings. It just felt like wings literally came into my bike, and I said, it's over. That's exactly what I said to myself, and for the next 12 and a half hours, it was just an amazing day. I had no pain. I had no problems. It was just a phenomenal day, and I got to enjoy every bit of it. So it was just an amazing day, and I thought as I coming down to the last finish line, I mean, trust me, at this point, I was tired. No arguing that. But as I was tired, you saw that picture in the last, with Amy was talking about Usain Bolt, as they come over and they scream and look at me, I finished 100 meters, I'm the fastest man in the world. And that's how kind of at times I'd envisioned myself crossing this finish line. But as I came up that last couple hundred meters, thinking about the money I've raised and all the people that have helped me, it was bigger than me. And to have raised myself at that point to say, look how good I am, it just didn't seem to fit with that moment. And it was a very humbling experience to be able to complete this. And I understand I was the first Canadian who's done this type of event. And it was just very humbling thinking of all the friends who supported me through all this and through all the things that have happened through this. And here I am 45 hours later, 3 days later, crossing the finish line. And I did make it. I ended up raising $257,000. Right now, Microcredit is working amazingly well in Haiti. There's a number of, I forget the exact number, a number of families now who are working. They have jobs. They're sending the kids to school. They're able to put food on their table. So I just want to encourage you, Lord, you people, to go out and do something. Small, big, take the talent that you have, dream big. Virtually in Canada, we are so fortunate. We have so much opportunity, we have so much hope, that virtually there isn't anything that's impossible for us to do if you have the faith and the strength and the will to do it. So get out there and do something for others, reach deep, and have a great day. And thank you for letting me be here today. And I hope it got to the last. There it is. That's a young lady who did microcredit in Haiti. She started a small grocery store. There's others who have started a sewing business. They're able to sell their goods now and be able to buy supplies. There's also 18 farmers that started in the chicken co-op who are growing chickens now and selling their chickens. So some amazing stories in Haiti. So thanks again for letting me be here today, and have a great day.